Welcome back to the home team. We have another pre-tape segment with Laura Brotherson and a real-life couple talking about teaching your kids about sex. I'm here with my guest, Laura Brotherson, intimacy educator and author of a groundbreaking book, And They Were Not Ashamed, Strengthening Marriage Through Sexual Fulfillment. Welcome.
Thank you.
And with us we have Heidi and Chris Lee. They are married, parents of 6 children. What are the ages?
We have 12, 10, 8, 6, 3, and 2.
Wow, you have your hands full, right? So in this segment, we're talking about educating your kids about sex. Has that been something that you feel like you've done pretty well? Ian?
We've certainly tried to do well, but some of the suggestions in Laura's book and some other ideas have been helpful in trying to teach the kids, and we're trying to start at a little younger age, so that they have a better idea and certainly are not afraid to ask questions. We want them to be able to feel like they can come to us.
Yeah. And are they asking questions?
Some of them are, and then others of them we wish they would ask more questions.
Like, don't you want to know this?
Right. But they are, when they have some questions. It's still a little awkward, I think, and I think no matter what, and no matter how open you are, there's always a little awkwardness in talking about sex.
So has Laura's book helped you to become less awkward about it, Chris?
I think so. I was pretty comfortable talking about it before, but...
it's the way. It's here.
Between the two of us, we have talked more, and I think I feel a little more comfortable talking to my children about it, a little more confidence.
Good. No, is that true? Heidi,
Yes.
you were more reserved about talking to your children about sex?
Definitely. If they asked me things, I would try to avoid it, or I would just kind of scoot around it, because I didn't want to say too much, because then that could be detrimental. But then on the other hand, after I read Laura's book, I started to realize I could talk to him about it, and I became more confident about talking about it. And then I think it's easier with my children.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what were your fears? Because you said, well, I don't want to say too much because of some fears. What were those fears?
Well, just age appropriation. You just want to make sure that you're not saying too much at a young age, but yet you don't want to not say enough. And so I was just a little like,
So you're like,
exactly.
So, Laura, tell us your approach in your book to helping parents better educate their children about sex. You have some steps that we can go through.
Well, I think Heidi and Chris have, brought up some good points, and the challenge that Heidi talks about that's a real big one is just knowing what to say when. And just one thought that I had as she was saying that is a lot of times if we can use more questions, then it helps to know where that fine line is between what's enough and what's too much.
Give us an example.
Well, a lot of times I think of a funny story that I heard about some little kid that came to his mom and asked some question. I don't remember particularly what it was.
Or was it where do babies come from, or something
like that? Something like where do babies come from? And the poor mother went and just, downpoured the poor kid with information. And then the child said something back to their mom like, well, no, Mom, I just wanted to know what state we just moved from, or something along those lines. And it was just like, okay, that isn't what they were asking. I should have clarified,
Gotcha.
So you should have kind of said, now what exactly, so why are you asking at her? Or what are you wanting to know? Or how did you think of that question, honey? And then you get some context. Then you are better able to answer the question appropriately and not give too much or too little. So that's a great thing she's brought up, because it's very common. But what I teach, kind of 4 steps. Helping parents to prepare to teach their kids is kind of step 1. It's kind of that area that we skip over or we don't think about, and it's
we should know everything, right?
Right, and that you just dive right in. But see, that's kind of the area that keeps a lot of parents from talking to their kids. And then what to teach, when to teach, and how to teach, and we can talk about some of that. But in the preparing to teach, one of the key things is for parents to overcome their own inhibitions. And Heidi, I think, kind of alluded to this, that as she became more comfortable talking with Chris, then all of a sudden, oh, okay, you know what? I can talk about this subject. I can talk to my kids. Do you think that was helpful?
Yes.
So once you can really get, my mission, I guess you will, is to help get one generation of parents to really have an understanding of what healthy intimacy is all about in their marriage, because then we can create a whole new generation by teaching our children so much better than we were taught, so that they come into marriage just way better prepared. So overcoming their inhibitions, overcoming their fears, getting educated, having a role play, you know, a practice run with your spouse of what you're going to talk about with your kids, or even in the mirror if you need to, whatever it takes. Those are a couple of things that we can do to prepare to talk about it.
Now, what to teach is
So what to teach? Invariably, parents think that this is all about the mechanics. But what I want parents to really get is that the most important thing is not just the mechanics or the essentials of procreation, but the attitude and the atmosphere and the spirit of reverence and respect. The context, the attitude. If parents can, you know, teach that attitude, which I think begins when you start doing diapers, right? As you can teach that, then, you know, then you can add some of the whats. You know, and so that's why parents freak out when I say, you know, your first time talking to your kids should be 7 to 8 years old, because they're like, ah! But if you think about, you know, you're teaching the attitude and the context of it, then you're teaching things like sex is good, the body is good, you know, this is a healthy way that husbands and wives express intimacy and love to each other. So there's a lot more to teach than just the how-tos. So that's kind of the what to teach parts.
Right.
But.
And then was there one more? How to teach it.
So how to teach it and when to teach it. I'll start with the when first. In my opinion, from my research, I think there are 4 minimal times that you've got to talk to your kids. Ideal, I think, would be once a year. That would be ideal. But I'm going to just go with the 4 minimums before the age of before age 8, which we often call the age of accountability. Before age 8, before puberty, before dating, and before marriage. You are teaching very different information at those 4 times. This is not a one talk, we're done, good, it's over concept. This is an ongoing discussion.
It's a process. It's not an event, it's a process.
It's a process.
Well, I appreciate you being here, helping enlighten us and get the confidence to really talk to our kids about sexual intimacy and do it in a comfortable way that's helpful. And thank you so much, Heidi and Chris, for your, like I said, it's brave to come on TV and talk about sex, so way to go. Thank you for being here. We'll be right back.